Hello from Kingfisher, Oklahoma. Today we're looking at 2 Chronicles 3 and 4. Solomon is 4 years into his reign, and he's collected the materials, he's recruited the people, and now he's ready to build the temple. And they're going to build all sorts of things. They're going to build basins, snuffers. They're going to build the walls. They're going to make them of wood and coat them with gold. They're going to do all this work, and we're going to get the measurements and all the things that go into it, the designs, what's on it, trees and fruit and all those kind of things. We're going to get to see what's going into make the cherubim, all that kind of stuff we're going to get to see. And for reference, a cubit is roughly 18 inches, and we're going to hear that measurement a bunch of times there, kind of the standard measurement there. And we're going to see the sea of brass, which is for ceremonial washing of the priests, and they have lavers, which are for washing other things. And it's going to be interesting to kind of hear how that goes. One thing, this is my best takeaway from this that I've never noticed before. The site that they're going to build the temple is the same site where Ornan the Jebusite allowed David to purchase his land. The angel of God came and had his sword up. You'll remember this story when David did the census, and God sent a plague to kill all the people, and this is where the angel stopped. And so David purchased this part of the land, and he put an altar there because God told him to. And oh my goodness, this is the spot the temple is going to go. It's not just some random place. Oh, that hill over there looks great. It's very meaningful, and I had no idea until today. So pretty exciting to learn something new. And you could be reading the Bible 30 plus years, which is what I've been doing, and bing, little gold nugget, something new for you out there. So let's jump right into it. 2 Chronicles chapter 3. Then Solomon began to build the house of the Lord at Jerusalem in Mount Moriah, where the Lord appeared to David his father, in the place that David had prepared in the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite. Love it. And he began to build in the 2nd day of the 2nd month in the 4th year of his reign. Now these are the things wherein Solomon was instructed for the building of the house of the Lord. The length by cubits after the first measure was 60 cubits, and the breadth 20 cubits. The porch that was in front of the house, the length of it, according to the breadth of the house, 20 cubits, and the height was 120. And he overlaid it with pure gold. That's pretty tall. 120 cubits, that's 180 feet. Pretty tall. The greater house he sealed with fir tree, which he overlaid with fine gold and set thereon palm trees and chains. Okay, decorations of palm trees. He garnished the house with precious stones for beauty and the gold of Parvaim. He overlaid the house, the beams, the posts, and the walls thereof, and the doors thereof with gold. And he graved cherubims on the wall. Now, it seems to me that that's redundant in the King James. Cherubim is plural for cherub. So cherubims, plural, as if cherubim was singular. Anyway, moving on. And he made the most holy house, the length whereof was according to the breadth of the house, 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 20 cubits. And he overlaid it with fine gold, amounting to 600 talents. That's a lot of gold. And the weight of the nails was 50 shekels of gold. And he overlaid the upper chambers with gold. The most holy house, he made 2 cherubims, an image of work, and overlaid them with gold. The wings of the cherubim were 20 cubits long. That's 30 feet of just a wing. Wow. One wing of the one cherub was 5 cubits, reaching the wall of the house, and the other wing was likewise 5 cubits, reaching the wing of the other cherub. So they're across like this, touching fingertip to fingertip, all the way across the house there. The wings of the cherubim spread themselves 20 cubits, for they stood on their feet, and their faces were inward. And he made a veil of blue, and of purple, of crimson, of fine linen, and wrought cherubims thereon. And he made a house of 2 pillars, of 30 and 5 cubits high, and the chapiter was on top of each one of them was 5 cubits. And he made chains, as in the oracle, and put them on the heads of the pillars, and made 100 pomegranates, and put them on the chains. So he's got gold pomegranates. And he reared up the pillars before the temple, one on the right hand and the other on the left, and called the name of the one on the right Jachin, and the one on the left Boaz. We know Boaz. Chapter 4. Moreover, he made an altar of brass, 20 cubits the length thereof, and 20 cubits the breadth thereof, and 10 cubits the height thereof. That's a big altar. Yeah, 30 feet by 30 feet and 15 feet tall. That's a big altar. And he made a molten sea of 10 cubits from brim to brim, round in compass, and 5 cubits the height thereof, and the line of 30 cubits did compass it round about. And under it was the similitude of oxen, which did compass it round about, 10 in a cubit, compassing the sea round about. 2 rows of oxen were cast when it was cast. It stood upon 12 oxen, 3 looking north, and 3 looking toward the west, and 3 looking toward the south, and 3 looking toward the east. And the sea was set above them, and all their hinder parts were inward. So, faces out, bottoms in, I guess. The thickness of its handbreadth, and the brim of it was like the brim of a cup, with flowers of lilies, and it received and held 3,000 baths. It's a lot of liquid. He also made 10 lavers, and put 5 on the right and 5 on the left, to wash in them such things as they offered for the burnt offerings. They washed in them, but the sea was for the priests to wash in. And he made 10 candlesticks of gold according to their form, and set them in the temple, 5 on the right, 5 on the left. He also made 10 tables, and put them in the temple, 5 on the right, 5 on the left. And he made 100 basins of gold. Furthermore, he made the court of the priests, the great court, and the doors for the court, and overlaid them with brass. He set the sea on the right side of the east end, over against the south. And Hiram made the pots and the shovels and the basins. And Hiram finished the work that was to make for King Solomon for the house of God. To wit, the 2 pillars and the pommels and the chapiters were on the top of the 2 pillars, and the 2 wreaths to cover the 2 pommels of the chapiters, which were on the top of the pillars, and 400 pomegranates on the 2 wreaths, 2 rows of pomegranates on each wreath, to cover the 2 pommels of the chapiters, which were on the pillars. He also made bases and lavers, where he made upon the bases on 1 sea, and 12 oxen under it. The pots also, and the shovels, and the flesh hooks, and all their instruments did Hiram his father make to King Solomon for the house of the Lord of bright brass. In the plain of Jordan did the king cast them, in the clay ground beneath Succoth and Zeredith. I thought that was interesting. They're casting them in clay, pouring the molten brass in, casting them, and then taking them to the temple. That's pretty ingenious. And Hiram is involved. Remember, they got him involved, and he's one of the people helping. That's the other king. They're allies at this time. Thus Solomon made all the vessels in great abundance, for the weight of the brass could not be found out. And Solomon made all the vessels which were the house of God, the golden altar also, and the tables wherein the shewbread was set. Moreover, the candlesticks with their lamps, that they should burn after the manner of the oracle, of pure gold. And the flowers, and the lamps, and the tongs he made of gold, and that perfect gold. And the snuffers, and the basins, and the spoons, and the censers of pure gold, and the entry of the house, and the inner doors thereof, and the most holy place, and the doors of the house of the temple were gold. This was beautiful to look at. I'm sure it was amazing. What a work of God. And beautiful when it's finished. Sad that we already know, since we read the book of Kings, how it's going to turn out for the temple. But anyway, so for the time being, this is quite the project, and we're going to see what happens next. Thanks for joining us. Catch you next time.